Welcome to the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight and Networking. My name is Alan Cohen. I'm the COO and Managing Director of Living Great Real Estate here in Fair Lawn. I run that company with my wife Evelyn, who's the broker owner, and we're a small boutique real estate agency in town. I also run a company called ACM Records, where we do licensing to music for TV and film. Today, we have a great guest for you today. His name is Eric Cohen. Yes, another Cohen. We're cousins from way back. We'll talk about that too. And he is the CEO Managing Director of Benefit Quest. Benefit Quest is an independent insurance brokerage company headquartered mainly in New York City, but obviously he works out here in his Fair Lawn home. He is a longtime Fair Lawn resident, and he is a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So I'd like to welcome everybody to say hello to Eric Cohen. Hi, Eric. How are you today?
Hi, doing great, Alan. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you. And like I said, we're cousins from way back from some.
Oh yeah,
We're both cousins, but we did meet quite a while back in a preschool called Tell Me Why. Our children were both going to Tell Me Why, if you remember that.
I definitely remember that. And now they're 23, graduating from college. My son.
Yeah, right. Your son is graduating from college, and my daughter's also graduating. And I know I recognize you from the meetings, but I didn't put that together. And then when I was looking about the About Us just before, my wife noticed Gila. How do you pronounce the name?
Gila, yes.
Gila is your wife, and my wife and your wife have spoken many, many times. So it's wonderful to see you, and it's nice to have a personal touch with you.
Yes.
So, Eric, you're an independent insurance company. Could you tell us a little bit about the services that your company provides to everybody?
Okay, so really we divide it into two areas. We help people with insurance, individuals and families with their personal insurance. So that includes their home, their auto, umbrella policy to make sure that they're covered for any lawsuits, things like that, life insurance, long-term care, really full package of all the personal insurance that someone needs, and also helping people save for their future. So we want to make sure that people, they built up assets and that they're protected so that if, God forbid, there's a loss, they are protected and they can go on and build up savings for their retirement. That's what we do for all the individuals. And then for business owners, we also protect all the business owners from startup to established businesses, making sure that they have all the basic coverages, but also as they grow and as there's emerging risks out there for business owners, that they're covered properly for that. And that includes from the basic liability, general liability, to workers' compensation if they have employees that can get hurt on the job, or cybersecurity, which is an emerging risk now that people are working from home. They can get hacked. And there's coverage for that to make sure that the business continues. And also for employee practices, because now also as the workforce is changing, people are working in many different areas, that we have the coverage for that as well, and many other different types of coverages that we can maybe go into later on.
That's great. So really, you're like a one-stop insurance company, from personal to commercial and everything in between that.
Yeah, that's right. So once we have a client that comes to us, we're looking at their whole picture, because it's all inclusive. And I say you don't want to play Russian roulette with your insurance. You want to make sure that you're covered properly in all the different areas, rather than just saying, well, I just want to lower my costs, give me just the basics, cookie cutter approach. We don't do that. We look at the full picture of a person, looking at the risks, and then we'll tidy up what is necessary for them to get and from the right insurance company, and getting the pricing to be where it's affordable and reasonable.
Great. So you're really looking at the whole scope of that person. So if you're working with, say, independent contractors or small business, I'm a small business. of course, I need personal insurance. I need some type of business insurance. Does that overlap somewhat? Because we were talking a little earlier before we started about cybersecurity. So say I'm getting cybersecurity insurance for me personally, or is that really on my business account, or could it be merged? Do I need two different policies, one for my personal stuff and one for my business?
Yeah, on cybersecurity, those are business policies. Okay, so that'll cover your business for anybody hacking into your system, and then maybe taking personal information of clients, and then you can get sued for that. So that protects for that. Also, if your computer gets hacked and now it gets locked, and now you can't do business for a week unless you have to pay some sort of ransom. So it covers you for that. But then there's identity theft that you can get on your homeowner's policy. So that's something. All this sounds like a lot, but it's very inexpensive. It's pennies on the dollar, but it's very important to have these days on your policies. And we look and we have a checklist to make sure that your policies have these right coverages. A lot of people will tell me, well, I already have something. I've had it for many years. When I hear that, that's probably the worst thing, situation to be in, because that means they haven't really looked at the new coverages, and insurance companies aren't running to give you extra coverages if you don't ask for it. So it's very important to have an independent broker to look at the policy, make sure that those extra coverages are there, and that's what we do.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because I do believe a lot of people do that. You might find whichever company that you work with, you feel comfortable, you get what they prescribe, I don't know, that's like a doctor thing, but what they're suggesting, you take it, and you're not always reviewing that policy. So a year comes down, 3 years come down the line, and like you just said, they're not running to say, oh, I'm going to give you a discount, but unless you ask them, something else they might be able to include in that policy, or the rates have come down because competition in that field might have changed. Right.
Rates have changed. Different carriers come in that are more specialized. And when a carrier is more specialized, they call it an appetite, a carrier's appetite. And if you have a carrier that has a good appetite for some sort of risk, their rates come down. And other carriers, they might say, well, we want to stay away from it. So what they do is their rates will go up, to kind of discourage people from getting it. So it's always important to get the right carrier. So again, what we do is do the research to find out which carriers are the best for that type of risk.
There's a call. There's your client.
I'm getting calls. I think people are hearing this.
Hold on. Eric's got a big client coming on. No. So that's it. How often do you recommend, you think it's once a year, or how often do you recommend, we're talking personally first, and then we'll talk business, that a person or a family, review their policy?
Definitely, at least once a year, we want to do a really, important annual review. But then also when there's a life change, if there's any life change during the year, we want to immediately do a review. Same thing with the business. If there's something that's going on where the business is growing rapidly or even shrinking rapidly, or there's a change, then we want to do a review at that time as well.
That's great, because I remember I had a policy for my auto insurance, and to save money on auto insurance, you're able to have the health insurance be the primary, or was it the auto insurance? I think
correct. You have a choice. You have a choice of doing that.
I was able to save, but unfortunately, I got into an accident, and there was a whole process getting the health insurance to pay it. I didn't get it from the auto insurance, and then after that, I was advised to always make the auto insurance the primary.
Correct. So that's very important. These kind of tips are very important. So when the auto insurance is primary, you're getting it from there, and you don't have to worry about your health insurance taking care of it. They will take care of it afterwards if anything is not covered.
But I thought I was saving money every month.
That's the problem. People are looking, I want to save money, and then they gravitate toward that, but then they lose money. And I always say the real cost of insurance is an uncovered claim, not the premium.
Right, because many people, I won't get into an accident or this and that, and you don't need, it's like anything else, you don't need insurance until you need insurance.
Right, and you think you're saving maybe $100, but you might be saving, losing thousands of dollars down the road, and that's really the heavy-duty cost to someone, and that's really what brings people back.
So, so tell me a little bit more about your company. How large or small is your company? Hi there. Hey, your daughter's there.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad it's a family business.
it's
Or
a family business. I'm home, so it becomes a family business. But I also have my brother working, and my wife Hila helps as well. We have about 10 employees in the company, and we're in New York and also upstate New York. We have employees, and also New Jersey.
how'd you get upstate? Why did you also go upstate New York?
I have staff that actually were with me in Manhattan, and I train my employees very well. So she wanted to move back to her home because she had a child. So I made sure that I opened up an office for her where she could work near her home.
Oh,
And that's why we have an office over there. And
so you opened up a satellite office up there. Did you get other agents as well up there?
yeah, we have 3 people in that.
Oh, terrific. It's great to expand. That's great. So the other question was, how did you really get into this side of the business? And what were you doing before, and a little bit about your background and your education?
I'll just tell you a little bit like how I grew up. My parents, they were immigrants. They came from Israel, in the 1960s. They started out with nothing. So savings for them was extremely important. And, I just recall that when I was very young, my mother would take me to the savings bank every week, and we would deposit my allowance every week, and we use our passbooks, and I would see in the passbook, $1, $2 plus interest, and it would grow and grow and grow. And then, that got me very financially oriented. And in the 1980s, when I had some savings built up, I saw that if you recall, in the 1980s, there 18% interest you were getting because of the interest rates. So I saw that all of a sudden, savings is so important. It can build up where you don't have to work so, you work hard, but then your money's working for you after you're saving it. At that time, I was working as a landscaper, in the hot sun, and I was seeing, I was making more money, in my account than working in the hot sun, making $4 minimum wage. So to me, savings was very important, and I had that in my head when I went to college. I went to Yeshiva University and learned, some business over there, and political science and business. And I wanted to get into Wall Street. I graduated in 1987, which was the second biggest crash from 1929. People were losing a lot of money because in the stock market. And I obviously couldn't get a job on Wall Street. So what I did is I just looked around and I saw the insurance industry, and a friend of mine was in the insurance industry, told me, people, they work hard, but they can lose what they worked hard for if they don't have the proper insurance. And that clicked in my head, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to help people protect themselves. They want them to build their assets, but also protect themselves. And that's how I got into the insurance industry. And that's what I've been doing from then on.
That's terrific. You did mention to me also earlier before we went on that your father was in really jewelry business. So why did you have an opportunity to follow in your father's footsteps? Let us know about.
Well, he wanted to have a family business in the jewelry industry. He wanted all, we're 5 children, 5 siblings, and my oldest 2 brothers went into that business. But that business kind of leveled off. And he wanted us, the rest of the kids to go into a business, go to college, and open up our own businesses or have our own fields. But in a way, we're also helping the jewelry industry, because my first customers were a lot of people in the jewelry industry, and even till today, we have a specialized insurance for people who are in the jewelry industry, because we also know the ins and outs of the industry, which is very important for brokers, that they know the industry that they're insuring. So in a way, we're in the industry, helping that industry as well.
Helping protect them as well.
Correct.
So, when you started your own business, you came up with the company, the name, and why did you end up in Manhattan? Were you living in Manhattan at the time before Fairlawn, or?
Right. Yeah. Right out of college, I was living in Manhattan, but also all the small businesses in Midtown at that time were there. I mean, that time, brick and mortar was big, and all the businesses, there's a tremendous amount of business opportunity in Midtown Manhattan. Today, that's changed. Now it's all online, and we have businesses all over New York and New Jersey, and even United States.
So do you think now, obviously, with everything that just went on and we are online, obviously you still have a large nut to cover in Manhattan. Is that affecting you? Are you re-strategizing what you might do, or you're still firm on being where you are?
Having a satellite office, and also at one point we had an office even in California because I had an employee as well here in the office, and they moved to California. I still kept them on. We can be remote, so we have an agency management system and a communication system, just like the way we're talking now. So we're just really in each other's offices, talking to each other and communicating with all the top technology that's out there. So we were immediately, when this happened, we were immediately online and ready for, a disaster like this that did happen. We were immediately ready for it.
Right. Do you still go into your office at this time?
At this time, just to pick up mail, maybe just for, that's it right now. Eventually,
where is the office?
The office is in Manhattan, but I'm right now, for the last 3 months, I've been working from home, and all of my staff's working from home. We're all set up from home, and everything is paperless. Everything is high technology. We're working with our clients. In some cases, because I'm in front of my computer even more, it's even, more attentive to my clients.
Would you consider giving up that New York office?
I probably always have an office. I might not have as big of an office, but, I probably have another office here in Fair Lawn.
Because the only one making money is the landlord that still wants his money in Manhattan. What if you're not using it, right? I mean,
if I'm not using it, but we have to pay that right now, and that's just the way it is.
All right, so you're located. How long have you been in Fair Lawn?
Over 20 years. I've moved already from one location to another. I love the town so much. It's just a beautiful town with the parks, and the schools are great. I love the transportation, like also the train and the bus to the city whenever it's necessary, but also the roads are great. This is a great town. The people are wonderful, and it's a good community to be in.
And how long have you been on with the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce?
I think about 10 years now.
About 10 years. And what benefits have you seen from being a member, besides networking and all that stuff?
I mean, the biggest thing is networking, being part of it, and then helping businesses in Fair Lawn and around.
So you do have quite a few clients from Fair Lawn as far as the businesses and personal?
Businesses and personal, yes. Because I'm also involved in the community. A lot of people know us. So they've been very supportive. And we've been supportive of different organizations as well.
Right. So your company might sponsor the softball team.
We'll sponsor different events and different community events.
Yeah, you have to be in front of everybody. Then, just like this interview, it's good to see you up in front, spotlighting you up front, so people know that you're a great guy, you're a nice guy.
Thank you.
Trustworthy. They get a better feel for you, and then they might be more inclined to work with you. Let me ask you another question. Back to the business side for a second. We talked about cybersecurity. What's the deal with business interruption insurance for businesses, especially right now? But I heard the COVID is not covered on that.
That's it. That's it's unfortunate, but if years ago someone would have said, you need pandemic insurance, nobody would buy it. So the insurance company did not develop that. And that's one of the reasons that the government came in and did the protection plan, where they gave money to businesses to help them through this. So for the COVID or for a virus, it's excluded for that. But you still need business interruption for any other damages that can happen. It could be from fire, from water, could be from civil unrest, which has existed, things like that. So it's very important to have that coverage. I imagine that in the future, I am involved very much in the industry in Trenton and Albany, and they will be looking for other coverages to help people if this ever happens again. And now it's something where if someone said, do you want pandemic insurance? You'll probably say, you know what, I'll think about it. I'll probably take it. And then they can price it out to make sure that it works for everybody.
Right. I mean, the best thing for the company as yourself, obviously, is to price it out where you would get somebody to want to buy it if it's not that expensive. But now they have a multitude of companies and what taking out that part. We might not have this again, but
Who
anything,
knows?
right?
Who knows? Yeah, it might not be a pandemic, but it could be epidemic. But it seems like these kind of things could happen.
Sure. I did some research, and I mentioned this before in some of my other interviews. I put together, a business continuity uh, plan, and I did a presentation on it. And in that research, they do say about 25% of the businesses, and I believe more, will not be back in business after this. I mean, we're seeing for rent signs all over going up, where small businesses cannot float this long. Of course, we're getting some help from the government, but I really think, planning, like you're saying, is the most important. So in that business continuity plan, you plan for that hurricane, you plan for that pandemic, you plan for this. By in that plan, make sure that all your insurance is covered. At the end of the year, review that plan to see that you have the right stuff. So you could say, well, what would happen if there was a flood? Figure that out, put a plan together. This is how we evacuate or whatever we have to do. And a lot of people don't think of that on the small level. I'm sure big companies have those plans, but some smaller companies are not planning everything. And I think it's so valuable to understand what damages, and you want to protect your liability. You want to limit your liability, and that's really what insurance is all about.
That's what it's all about, and it's also about educating. And we like to educate our clients because, unfortunately, what people are when they want insurance, they say, "Just give me something." Give me some, because they have to just check a box that they have insurance, but they're not really looking that, a policy is really a promise to pay. Those words on the policy mean a lot. So you have to make sure that you have the right coverages. We go over the checklist to make sure that, like exactly what you said, these are the risks that your specific business has. And every business has different risks.
Sure.
Certain businesses will have investors and they need what's called directors and officers coverage, because if you're a director and officer and you make a mistake, the investors can then come in and then sue. So there's a lot of different specialized coverages for your specific business, and then we go through that checklist. And that's very important for people to know, that it's not just a cookie cutter approach. Just get me insurance, give me a good price. It's not. Let's get you the right insurance, and then we'll look at getting you the price that's affordable. And what I tell people is that the price has to be affordable because it's based on your size of your business. So if your business is small, the premium is going to be smaller. As you grow and your revenue goes up, the premium is going to go higher, but your revenue is now higher and you can afford it.
Yeah, that's terrific. Right. So really, you analyze the person, his company, and all his needs. Are you you're considered a small company, a small business still, or are you mid?
Definitely. Well, we are a small business, but we can work with small businesses to mid-sized, even large businesses. We have really no limit to the size of businesses because of our network. Being in the business for 30 years, we have a very large network of consultants that we work with. So there's really no limit to size of companies that we can.
There's no limit, but how do you compete with, say, one of these big insurance companies? What's your niche or your selling point to say, oh, work with Benefit Quest instead of working with the big companies? Is it because you're more personalized?
Much more personalized. And just so you understand, when you're working with a big company, you're not really working with that big company. You're really working with maybe 4 or 5 people in that company. It's like a unit. Okay. We, as a boutique company, are a 10-person unit. And not only that, we use these insurance companies are really partners with us. So we're not really competing with them. We are just maybe competing with one of their units that they might have. So being personalized, when you call us, when a client calls us, we don't ask for, oh, what's your policy number? We already know you. We know you. We've done the review. It's very personalized. We understand you. You're in the community. It's not like someone that we don't know at all. When you're dealing with a bigger company, a lot of times you might, in 6 months, deal with a different person. Oh, now they're moving you to a different unit. or they close a unit up, or things like that. With us, you know us and we know you. So it's very much.
So, but are you considered a broker in that respect, that you look out for what companies are offering that insurance, like Farmers or I don't want to mention names. So, but a bigger company might steer that client, personal or commercial, into the product that they represent. Obviously, they probably make more money from a product they represent compared to you're looking at, well, let me compare, 10 different companies, and this is the best product for you.
Exactly. They're incentivized to use only their company, or maybe one or two companies, insurance companies. And like I said before, there's an appetite out there for different insurance companies. So you really want to look at the whole list of what are the best carriers for that type of insurance. And we do that. We have a lot of direct relationships with the top carriers in each different niche of insurance that someone needs. So on the employee benefits side, for example, there might be 4 or 5 insurance companies. We'll go to that. And there's never one insurance company that's the best. If there was, there'd only be one insurance company.
Only one, right?
So there might be 4 or 5, and company A might be good for you, company B might be good for somebody else, because maybe you're one person's younger, one person's older, one person's a family, one person's single. There's a lot of different things out there. Same thing with businesses. One might have a niche for a certain industry, and another insurance company might want another industry. So we'll definitely find the right carrier, which is very important, and from multiple carriers that are out there.
That's great. Great. Well, Eric, to wrap it up, do you have anything special you want to say to not only to prospective clients, but in general about protecting yourself and that? And then we'll open it up for network, and we do have a guest on.
Okay. I'd like to say, take the time to review what you have. I have, an ask that I can say is, I have a comprehensive review. It's very organized. It's a checklist, and we go through it with each of our clients, and it takes maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes tops, just to get that top overview of what the risks are, and then get a feel of that. And then after that, come to me and see, well, is there something that I can improve on? So what I would say is, I would like to ask anybody who's listening to email me and ask me for the comprehensive review.
That's great. All right, terrific. All right, so we do have Eric Cohen from Benefit Quest. He's the CEO and managing director of the company. It's his company. He also has some family members in the company, so yeah, it is a small business. He works with small businesses, large businesses. He could cover you for personal and also commercial. So, Eric, thank you very much. And it's good to know the person behind the company, because now I'm excited. People know you. You're a nice guy. They want to know that somebody's a nice, honest person and is going to give them the right policy for their needs.
Definitely.
So
thank you, Alan.
For letting us in on your business.
And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
The spotlight was on you. So we do have a guest with us that would like to network with us. So come on, we do have Victoria Schrager, and she'll be checking in here momentarily.
You want me to should I open up my video?
Yes, of course, Victoria, it's up to you.
Okay.
Hello.
So hi, thank you, Eric. That was informative. So I'm Victoria Schrager. I'm a Fair Lawn resident, and I'm a member of the Chamber. My company is called Tender and Timely Daily Money Management. I do bill paying and administrative tasks. My most active population that I work with are seniors, but I have worked with divorcees and younger people as well. As busy professionals. I help people who hate paying the bills or who just are...
Hate paying bills. Wait a second.
What?
I said we all hate paying the bills.
I actually like paying the bills. That's why I do what I do. I mean, I like organizing. I like paying the bills. I like getting everything properly ordered and together, and that gives me a good feeling. So when I can help people, to do that for themselves, I think it's a great peace of mind for them. And I also have a systems background, so I work with people also on computer questions and issues. My question, Eric, is I have insurance for my business. I have errors and omissions insurance. And I also have a aspect of my policy that indicates there is some cybersecurity protection, but then it looks like everything is excluded on it. Like when I look at the policy, and insurance is it's its own language. And for some of my clients, I do review their policies, and I handle their homeowners policies, their tenant policies, and car insurance, whatever their policies are, and I try to clarify what is in the policy for them. For myself, I'm not quite as careful. So, the cobbler's children, as they say, don't have the best shoes. And I would say I'm not really sure that I'm carrying the best insurance for myself. I have, as I said, errors and omissions, and then there's this piece of another policy that I have that's a cyber safety policy. I was a little unclear because when you purchase insurance, you don't really see the policy until you get, until you sign, and then you get the policy. And then it's then that you really get a chance to truly look at what that policy consists of.
Right.
So I'm sure that as someone about to purchase, you can read the whole policy and get the content of the policy explained to you before you sign on the dotted line. But like everybody else, I'm buying insurance because I feel that it's something I need to check off my list. The probability of my being sued by a client is very low because I'm not actually acting as a fiduciary for my client. If I am, then I need to buy extra insurance. Right now, I'm not a fiduciary for any clients. I have been bonded before and closed an estate, which I'm doing right now, but as an executor personally. So I guess I'm sort of unclear, how can I be a better consumer so that I'm not sort of all of a sudden going, well, wait a minute, what's really in this policy? And in fact, right now I'm in the midst of asking my agent what is in this policy, and they haven't been able to really clearly tell me that because it's a new company for them that they went with.
Victoria, these are all great questions. So let them answer one at a time.
Yep, I'm stopping.
So I'll try to answer what I remember, and then again. But it's so important. A policy is a contract. It's an agreement, and it's a promise to pay from the insurance company. So it's so important that it's very serious. So if you want them to pay, the wording has to be very important. Okay. So as far as seeing the coverages ahead of time, there are sample policies, especially for something that's a specific type of policy. Maybe general liability is very cut and dry, but something like cybersecurity, there are sample policies that should be available. It's also important to work with an agent that's really familiar with the coverage. Not all agents are. Some are local, the local insurance agent that does home and auto really well. They do a great job. But then they could do on the side a business policy. You don't want that. You want someone that really knows these policies inside and out, especially for a specialty policy like professional liability or cybersecurity. And the cybersecurity is really an emerging risk.
Yeah.
These types of policies, maybe 10 years ago, only, the blue chip companies, would get sued, and they're the only ones that would need that. And then it started to go down, 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 down. Now really every company really has a need for it, because you can open up an email today. Anybody can open up an email, press the wrong button, and now, you really, you have a problem because you're getting hacked, and personal information is out there. So to be a better consumer is really the first thing is be aware, and you are. So that's the key thing. You are aware there's a problem. And that's, a lot of people don't even get to that level. They get to, I just want a policy, and then just say I'm okay. So you already, passed the first hurdle there. And secondly is really just to have a review from someone who really understands these policies and understands the different carriers that give different options, and that they understand also your business. Because you said, you're not likely to get a loss, but you know what? Even if it's a 0.1% of 1%, if it's you, it's a big loss.
Sure.
And you want to make sure it's covered.
So I have a Mac, and I have Bitdefender on it. Now, as a as an insurer of a cyber policy, let's say, can those companies require that they are covering you only if you have, for example, some sort of malware and antivirus software on your computer? Is that it?
They can have exclusions. They can have exclusions there. That's why it's important to know what's covered and also what's excluded. Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes what happens is the exclusion is not in the base policy; it's somewhere in the back. So someone really who's specialized understands that, well, it could say that there's coverage here, but then all of a sudden in the back it says it's excluded. So you have to be very careful. And that's why you have to have an agent that really understands these policies.
I know. And I'm finding out that, I may have an agent who doesn't understand the policy that they sold me. And I don't really have recourse. I mean, I've already paid for the year. So I suppose you can return it and get some sort of prorated.
So my suggestion is just have it reviewed now, and then you make a decision. And, maybe they don't understand the policy, but it could be okay until the end of the year. But maybe not. And if it's really bad, then you could change it in the middle of the year. Or, if it's kind of okay, then you can keep it and then change it at that time. But definitely, it doesn't hurt to get a review beforehand.
So,
is that something that you do as a complimentary service, Eric?
Definitely, I review it all year long. This is what I would say is very important to do, right away rather than wait.
Can I just wait, Alan? One more question.
You though directly, and then do you find a lot of your seniors are undercovered, since you're working with the seniors, Victoria? Do you?
So,
a while ago, people weren't thinking of so much protection. Now, more and more. Do you find that any of your clients are not protected properly?
Protected in
with enough insurance, enough.
No, I know with insurance, but what kind of I mean?
Maybe identity theft. You're kind of mentioning, Alan.
So
identity theft.
I have several clients in facilities. So they're not insured anymore. They don't need insurance. They're living in a facility. I mean, they're basically, it's not applicable for a senior living in a
they don't have life insurance. I know. I looked
at a lot of them don't. I mean, I have one client who I'm actually doing a Medicaid application for now because she's she's 96 years old. She's been living in a facility for almost 8 years. She spent down all of her money.
Yeah.
And I need to put her on Medicaid. And she will become a pro bono client for me because she won't have any money soon to pay me for my services. She'll probably have fewer needs also. She won't, some of the bills that she's paying now, she won't have as much, but she still will have some need.
But for the people who have assets, I mean, you're talking about
for the people who have assets.
Yeah.
So the people who have assets, I have several who have long-term care insurance.
That's what I
I
mean.
don't know. Is that something that you sell, Eric?
Yes.
Okay. I have several with that. I have several with, life insurance
And let
policies.
me mention that something emerging, policy that's come out with life insurance and long-term care all in one package is now something that's only been out for about a year. So it's a very good type of policy to do for the future, because here you have life insurance that if God forbid something happens to you, but what if
Right.
you need long-term care in the future? You can actually use the living benefits part of the life insurance for your long-term
And
care.
what are those called? What's the name of those policies?
It's life insurance with living benefits.
Oh, that's what it doesn't have a catchier name?
I guess it's too new. They
But is that what a term policy? I know the difference between term and whole life insurance. So say you have a term insurance for 15 years and you're going into that 15 years, is there still this
We
option?
have a policy that has that option when it's in that term part, where let's say you have a 15-year term, and you get, God forbid, disabled and you need that, you can use that. But you can also convert that policy to a long-term or to a lifetime policy as well. So you can have it during that
Whole life
short period of
policy.
time.
I know when I was younger, everybody wanted to get me into a whole life policy and then use that. It's a way to do investments. But I always found with a whole life policy that you do better investing on your own. I mean, if you could be, persistent about your investing, you'll do better with the investments as an investor, maybe with you, because you also do investments, and then taking a term just for protection.
It depends how good of an investor you are. What we like to do is actually
Yeah.
mix. We do a mix where we have a base of maybe the whole life, so you have something for sure for your whole life, but then you also have term to kind of enhance it so they can get a much higher amount for a lower cost. So you're kind of combining the best of both worlds.
And I was actually on a call 2 weeks ago with an insurance agent who was talking about whole life, I believe it's whole life insurance policies that are actually saleable on the open market, that there are companies that are buying these policies. If somebody, for example, has a whole life policy that they can't afford anymore, they don't want to pay those premiums anymore, they can actually sell that policy.
That's called a life settlement. But today with the new policies that they have with the living benefits, you want to keep the policy because if you ever need it and getting sick, you can actually use it while you're living. So it would be not necessary to sell it.
Who's the biggest insurance company underwriting those policies these days?
There's not one big one. There's actually a lot of carriers that are doing it. And then
Okay. And what are the premiums for something like that at this point?
Also, a lot of different types of options, and what we do is we do a mix to make sure that it's affordable. So we'll do a base, and then we'll do on top of that maybe a term policy, and we'll make it affordable for the person, because you can kind of the premium is not one premium. It kind of depends on what policy you have. There are policies that are whole life that has a little bit more guarantees. There's also what's available now. It's called IUL, Index Universal Life. Gives you a lot of guarantees, but you're also a little bit in the market as well. You're saving in the market. So the premiums are lower for that because you're taking a little bit more of the risk on the savings part. So it's hard to say what the premiums are because also it depends on the person's health, their age, and a lot of different factors. But it's easy to get a proposal. So once I do a review for somebody, like I said before, I could do a review, date of birth, a little bit of information on the health. I can immediately create a proposal in minutes and then just send it out. And this way, I like when people see a real side-by-side comparison rather than just throwing out numbers.
That's great. Well, there's your personal touch, and it's good to have somebody, like you said, that really reviews the whole of that person, right? So that you understand really what they're up against and what, the downfalls could be. Or if you're, I remember just recently, I looked at my term insurance, and the more that I have now, I needed to upgrade my term insurance. So I was able to get rid of the older one, take another 15-year at a higher, amount of policy, because I have a lot more risk now.
Right.
And I want to make sure my family's protected, God forbid, in that event.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our expert.
Thank you.
Yeah, really great. And thank you for the questions, Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria.
I'd like to say thank you very much again to our spotlight guest, which is Eric Cohen of Benefit Quest. They're an independent insurance agency. He is a Fair Lawn resident, a member of the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce, and I recommend that everybody from the Chamber at least speak to Eric, see if he could help you out. He's a great guy, honest guy, and I'm sure he could really look at your situation and give you the best that he could give you.
Yes, best advice, definitely.
Best advice. That's the word I'm looking for. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for joining us today and those wonderful questions.
Bye, guys.
So, once again, my name is Alan Cohen of Living Great Real Estate and ACM Records here in Fair Lawn. I am on the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and I want to thank everyone. I'd like to thank the Fair Lawn Chamber for letting me have this moment and spotlighting the local businesses in our community and Eric Cohen and Benefit Quest today. Thank you very much. Everybody be well as the towns are opening up. Still be careful. Still wear your masks. Not online, of course. And I wish everybody health and a good way out of all this.
And a happy 4th.
Yeah, and a happy 4th. Thank you. Almost forgot that. But I hear they're shutting down all the fireworks. Is that true? Come on. They shouldn't do that.
I might have to watch it on TV.
I mean, everybody can protest, but you can't put up fireworks? No, we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, from the Fair Lawn Chamber of Commerce, the Business Spotlight and Networking. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.